Hi, I'm Lucy from the USA. Before we dive into the story, please like and subscribe. I'm just an ordinary high school girl living next door. Pretty, talented, and great at parties. I had everything I could ever wish for. Even my parents were awesome. There was just one thing I truly desired. A boyfriend. I had dated before, but all those guys turned out to be jerks. I even agreed to go out with a nerd once, hoping he'd surprise me. Never making that mistake again. No thank you. Next. I was starting to lose hope of ever finding my Prince Charming. That was until Mike came into my world years later in high school. My eyes were instantly hooked onto him. The looks, the smile, and the muscles showing under his shirt. I just had to have him, so I asked him out. Something I would never do normally, but it all worked out, because he said yes. It didn't take long for us to finally have our first dinner date. It was amazing. He was such a gentleman and knew just the right things to say. I knew the moment he took my hand that he was the one, but I couldn't shake the feeling of déjà vu, like I'd met Mike before. Oh well, I'm sure it's nothing. For the next few months, we went on many different dates, traveling all over the city, eating wonderful foods, and studying together at night. Everything was perfect. We had finally found a good boyfriend, and he was a keeper. But of course, something just had to happen to ruin it. Mike had planned a date at a fancy new restaurant downtown. I was so excited. I actually got ready early this time and speed walked to the restaurant with a spring in my step. But when I finally got there, my heart fell to the floor and shattered. Sitting next to my boyfriend was another girl with her arm around his shoulder. I didn't care if he looked a bit uncomfortable. I wasn't taking this betrayal lying down, so I burst through the doors and marched straight up to the duo's seat. Who is this?
Lucy, you're early.
Answer the question, Mike. How could you cheat on me?
Wait, I didn't cheat.
Who is this then?
Hello, you must be Lucy. I've been looking forward to meeting you. I'm Mike's big sister. The name's Vecta.
The girl's cheeky smirk nearly made me get physical, but her last words registered just in time. Sister?
Yep. I wanted to see who claimed my brother's heart and changed him so much. You see, I'm very interested because Mike and I are very close.
That's funny because he never mentioned you.
I thought I'd introduce you when the time was right. But since Vecta's here, I guess there's no time like the present.
Well, nice to meet you, but we are supposed to be on a date. I don't want to be mean or anything, but...
She's right, Vecta. You should go home. I'll be back soon.
Oh, she didn't like that. She looked at us both and instead of leaving, got comfortable.
Nah, you two just act like I'm not even here. You won't even notice me. Besides, I'm starving.
Fine.
Fine. It wasn't fine with me. But she was a sister, and it was just one evening. How hard would it be to get through? It turns out, really hard. She kept interrupting nonstop. Oh, Mike, I have this really funny story to tell you.
Ha ha! That's hilarious! Oh, stop it, Lucy. I think I just peed a little.
I didn't even tell it yet.
But I know it's really funny. You just said so yourself. Which reminds me, Mike, I've got a joke that'll make you poop. So a duck and a chicken walk into a bar.
She kept picking up food from Mike's plate and fussing over him.
Why would you order this dish? You hate olives and broccoli? Here, I'll take those. Also, you've got sauce on your face. There, I got it. Do you need to blow your nose, Mikey?
And when she wasn't acting like his freaking mother, she kept staring daggers at me. I tried to act like I wasn't bothered at all and leaned over to feed Mike some of my pasta. But seconds later, he started coughing and turning blue.
Oh my God, you poisoned him!
What? Of course I didn't. Mike, are you okay? Say something.
He can't, you moron. His tongue is swollen. What is in that pasta? Blueberries, kiwis, dandelion tea, rose hip oil, Diet Coke.
No.
Honey, oysters, anchovies?
Yes, it has anchovies.
Don't you know anything about him at all?
And with that, she quickly reached into her bag, pulled out an EpiPen, and stabbed him with it in the thigh. He gasped and coughed some more, but he could finally breathe.
What would you do without me, bro?
The date ended after that, thankfully. And as I went home, I hoped it was the last I'd ever see of her. But for the next 2 months, it was the same. No matter where we went and what we did, Vecta was there to ruin it. Mike just couldn't seem to shake her off and would let her stay. And she kept making it obvious that she disapproved of me greatly. I'd catch her staring at me with disdain, like I wasn't worthy of him or something. It didn't feel like the frustrations of some jealous ex, thank God. But it was something serious enough to squeeze herself in on our dates and annoy me while wearing the most outlandish cosplay outfits and hairstyles. So childish, it was even affecting Mike. He had been looking more downcast lately. What?
Look, she's my sister and I have been neglecting her recently.
But what about our date today?
She would just crash it as usual. I promise we'll hang out this weekend. Just the two of us.
He kissed me on the cheek and then left me devastated and confused. That night in bed, I stayed up pounding my pillow imagining it was Vecta's face. I wanted her private time back, but as much as I wanted to slap her, violence wasn't the solution. Instead, I needed to know what Vecta's problem was. There must be a reason for why she was acting the way she was. Luckily, a puzzle piece fell into place during the weekend. As promised, I was hanging out with Mike at his place. We were watching a cheesy romance movie while snuggling on the couch. Right on time, Vecta came out of nowhere and inserted herself into our lives again. No, literally. She came and sat between us on the couch holding a dead potted plant.
You let the plant die? The plant that symbolizes our bond as brother and sister.
I've never even seen that plant before. Vecta, what do you want?
A plant that's alive. But I guess that ship has sailed. Do you know what next week is? Michael?
Michael? Now why did that name sound so familiar? Before I could remember anything, Mike let out a loud sigh.
I told you not to call me by that name.
Whatever. Now guess before I call you by your real name again.
That's your real name?
Used to be anyway. I don't know what's happening next week, Vecta. Can you just leave us alone today?
A part of me was jumping for joy at the way Mike snapped at her, but another part noticed how hurt Vecta looked. I gave in to my more merciful half. What's happening next week, Vecta?
It's the annual LARPing Capture, the flag event for our city.
LARPing? Like the thing nerds do outside? Playing pretend?
Yeah, figures you would say that. Are you attending it with me, Michael? You can even bring your girlfriend.
Why would I do that? That's for losers.
Then Lucy should fit right in.
That was it. What is your problem? You!
Sis.
No, everything was fine before she showed up in your life.
I could say the same for you.
Stop it, you two.
No, not if we want this to stop for good. Vecta, I have a proposal.
Interesting. Shoot!
We'll join your stupid game. Do we play in teams?
Oh, I see where you're going with this. Yeah, we do. I'll be on the team opposing yours.
If my team wins, you'll stop interfering in our relationship.
And if mine wins, you'll break up with Michael.
That is not your choice to make, Vecta.
What? Scared she'll lose? Get bored of you in the game? Walking away from both?
What? I wouldn't do that. I love Michael, and I'll prove it by beating you. Deal?
Deal.
We shook hands, and I suddenly realized I just made a deal with the devil. All because I let my emotions get the better of me. I don't even know how to LARP. But there was no backing down now. My relationship was on the line.
Before this is over, I'm going to remind my brother of who he really is, all while kicking you to the curb where you belong. Good luck. You're gonna need it.
Vecta left, and I slumped down on the couch. What did I just sign myself up for? Mike sighed before looking at me with determination.
If we're going to do this, then I'll have to train you.
You know how to LARP?
Of course not. I just picked up some things from my sister.
If you say so, where do we start?
Conditioning.
Say what? Mike was not joking. I was put through actual exercises and drills like I was preparing for the army. I was seconds away from giving up, but I refused to lose to Vecta. So I pushed on. And you know what? I'm glad I kept at it. Sure, the conditioning was terrible, but once I was actually playing the game, it felt like I was in another world. It was magical and so different from anything I was used to. But what really made it all worth it was Mike. He was really enjoying himself. That and his immense knowledge on LARPing made it clear he had played before, although he refused to admit it. I hadn't seen him smile like this since, ever. Really. And if he was happy, I was happy. Eventually the weekend came and it was finally time for the event. And when we arrived at the venue, oh my god, there were at least 200 people here. They had even built small buildings and tents, and the large space with a nice forest surrounding us made it even more picturesque. Before I could really appreciate the beauty, Vecta came running up to Mike.
Michael, you really came.
Of course, we both did.
Hello.
Oh yeah, I almost forgot about you. Are you sure she won't slow you down? I'd hate for you to lose because of a handicap.
Hey!
No worries. She's a natural. She even started to like it.
She did?
Yep, this isn't so bad.
I'm sure she's just faking it. I'll prove it by winning this thing.
Before Mike could say anything, Vecta fled into the crowd. She really doesn't trust me, huh?
I'm sorry.
No need to apologize. She's just a...
No. She's lonely, okay? Please don't hate her for this. It's my fault anyway.
Before I could dig further, a horn echoed throughout the field. It was almost time. The two teams, red and green, got into position. The 2 flags were placed in their proper bases. Finally, the next horn signaled the start of the battle. I kept close to Mike. Despite the training, this was still nerve-wracking. It was a struggle at first, but eventually I got used to it and started having fun. I could tell Mike was having a blast, too. Even more so when he noticed I was having fun, too. Eventually, our squad was closing in on the enemy camp. Our leader suggested a pincer attack. Mike was on the other attack squad, which nearly caused me to panic. But a comforting hand on the shoulder later, I calmed down. So we split up and went deeper into the forest. And this is where things got bad. One by one, my squad was picked off by some archer in the woods. It didn't take long for me to be the last one standing. That's when the culprit revealed herself.
I'm surprised you lasted this long.
Vecta, of course. We stared each other down before Vecta drew her foam sword and shield.
Let's make a new deal. The first one to get a hit wins. Same conditions from before apply.
I drew my own sword and shield. Fine.
Good. Prepare for failure.
Wasting no time, Vecta charged at me as if this was a life and death battle, and I responded in kind. I wasn't losing my relationship with Mike. We clashed repeatedly, trading blows on our shields, unable to get a body shot. Shockingly, I was holding my own. Mike had taught me well, touched an attack to my leg, and asked the burning question in my head. What is your problem with me dating Mike? Shouldn't you be happy for him? Now, that really got her mad, and she was lashing out even harder.
You seriously haven't figured it out? Of course not. Why would someone like you remember some poor nerdy boy who bravely asked the popular girl out?
Huh? Suddenly it all fell into place. Mike was Michael, the nerdy boy I had turned down all those years ago.
Michael used to be a big nerd, just like me, and we were always super close. But he decided to abandon who he is to become the kind of guy you'd want. A typical Prince Charming. I barely even recognize him now.
I felt ashamed of how I hadn't even given Michael a chance before I judged him by his appearance. Before I even got to know how sweet and amazing he was. But I knew that now, and I liked everything about him, nerdy side and all. I wasn't so shallow anymore. With renewed determination, I took advantage of Vecta's rash attacks and finally got a hit on her side. And she lost. She was about to break down into tears, but before that could happen, I hugged her. I get why you hate me, Vecta, and I'm sorry for turning him down like that before. Your brother is a great guy and I would never want to change him.
Are you serious?
Just then the horn blew, signaling someone had won. We ran back to the team and the sight brought another smile to our faces. Mike. No. Michael was being carried by his team while holding the green flag. And the smile he wore melted my heart. We won.
My brother is something special, huh?
He sure is.